check this out. Here are Vanessa and Jasmine, two leaders on our staff team who lead our Know Your Rights organizing work in North Lawndale, Little Village, Inglewood, Greater Inglewood, and they're here to share with you a sample of a public service announcement that they've just actually recorded in the studio. So before you hear it on the radio, here it is for you tonight.
All right.
Think of what you have in store when you call 1-800-LAW-REP-4. You can get a lawyer, call them up, they be at the station for ya. Oh yeah, don't be alone, pick up the phone, don't face interrogation on your own.
At the crib.
What?
So I be right back. Went to the corner store just to grab a snack. And out of nowhere,
What?
I got snatched by CPD. Seemed like they following me. I asked for my call. Guard said stop bothering me. 800-LAW-REP-4, thank God my homie called for me. 1-800-LAW-REP-4, thank God my homie called for me. Think of what you have in store when you call 1-800-LAW-REP-4. You could get a lawyer, call them up, they be at the station for ya. Oh yeah. Think of what you have in store when you call 1-800-LAW-REP-4. You can get a lawyer, call them up. Hey.
Thank you so much, Vanessa and Jasmine. My name is Eliza. I am the Executive Director of First Defense Legal Aid, here to welcome you all tonight. Thank you so much for coming. Even more so, thank you for all that you do with First Defense toward our mission. It is overwhelming to keep seeing face to face so many people who have been part of this history, and so many people who, in their own way, are making huge impacts in the civil rights issue of our time. Which truly is police accountability and equal justice in our criminal and juvenile systems. I wish I could name everybody and tell you all who's in the room with you. It's just incredible. But without the time to actually go through our history and all of your histories, I do want to tell you where we're at today. What's still most urgent is getting the word out and making sure people can truly have the hope, the skills, the knowledge of how to access legal defense in police custody. It's very fitting that two of our Know Your Rights organizers opened up this brief program, and another, Alma Montes, will close it, because this is what's urgent, and this is why we need you to know how important it is for you to stay involved and stay supportive. You might have seen public service announcements on the trains, on bus stops, outside of some police stations even, posters, billboards. This is a huge priority for us. It's something that we just have to do. Knowing what we know about in 2013, despite First Defense having been around, 18 years at that point, a very small percentage, less than 1% of people had a lawyer in any police station at any moment during their detention. And so we're doing our best to advocate for the cooperation of the police department to make sure people can use their phones earlier. And short of those kinds of public partnerships, we need everybody to please support our work to advertise, to get the word out, to market, and to increase the numbers of people we can impact. So thank you for being here to reflect together on our history and to look, where are we at this moment, and what our future is, and that's our mission statement. We're going to see everybody be able to access what's already their right. Thanks to all of you and all that you've done for these 20 years and tonight. Yes, thank you. Again, hard to recognize everybody that's in the room. I do want to acknowledge our staff team. Staff team, make yourself known. I think there's probably 11 of us in the room. Wave, all right. Meet up for a photo op after the program. Board of directors as well, our hosts of this evening. Thank you guys, thank you. To all of the volunteers, throughout history, so many of you have taken a shift online, spread that Know Your Rights knowledge. It's just incredible. And we do have a few dignitaries in the room, in addition to some of our honorees. We have Justice Reyes, thank you for being here. Thank you to the newly appointed public defender, Amy Campanelli, thank you for being here. I saw Senator Biss in the room. Thank you for being here, Senator. And we'll acknowledge several others now. Here is our board chair, Rob Blazejowski, and Vista attorney, Simone Williams, who will be presenting these trophies to just 20 first offenders. Thank you so much. And here we have a chance to acknowledge you in person. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I hope that everybody has enjoyed our 20 for 20 campaign as much as we have. And putting it together, we couldn't be more proud to be associated and honoring this group. Though they're a diverse group, they come from a lot of different backgrounds, from different professions, from different perspectives, but what ties them all together is, as first offenders, is that they have all answered the call. They've answered the call by fighting against injustice. They've answered the call by standing up for the helpless. They've answered the call by safeguarding the rights of all Chicagoans. And that's what makes them all first offenders and part of our 20 for 20. So before we have everybody come up, we're going to have them come up. We're not going to have a lot of speeches. I'm just going to say a few words about each one so that you know who they are and why we're honoring them. But first we wanted to have one of our first offenders who we lost this year before we were able to honor her with her presence. Jane Raley from Northwestern Center on Wrongful Convictions is one of our 20 for 20. And she succumbed to a battle with cancer on Christmas this year. Jane had spent 14 years as the co-director of the Northwestern Center on Wrongful Convictions. And during her time there, she helped free and exonerate 11 innocent men and women. I know that many of you are friends of Jane. I know that there are many admirers of Jane in the room. And FDLA salutes Jane for a lifetime, though it was too short, spent dedicated to fighting for justice. There's a number of people from Jane's family who are here with us today. And I think a couple will come up to accept the award on her behalf. Her husband, Jonathan Hale, and her daughter, Kate Hale, are here. Her parents, Ed and Joan Raley, are here as well, as is her sister. So if we can have somebody on behalf of the Raley family come up and accept the award. So our next 20 for 20 honoree is Alan Goldberg, and I'll ask Alan to come up. As we announce names, if everybody could just come up for a minute, you'll get the award. Alan has dedicated his entire career, nearly 40 years, to working as a state appellate defender. He leads a team of nearly 100 assistant appellate defenders in providing representation to indigent clients in the most dire of circumstances. And FDLA salutes Alan Goldberg for a career spent fighting for the people who many care about the least.
I am not Alan Goldberg. Okay. Unfortunately, Alan is in Wisconsin, and his oldest daughter is receiving her PhD at the University of Wisconsin. So on his behalf, I'm accepting this award. And I just want to let you know that he really is honored and appreciates being honored by this organization.
Great. Thank you for being here. Our next awardee is Kathy Cohen, professor of political science at the University of Chicago. She's a well-known community activist. She's the founder and principal investigator for the Black Youth Project, a national research project that examines the attitudes, resources, and culture of African-American youths, age 15 to 25. FDLA salutes Kathy Cohen for her leadership in supporting the development of the next generation of young leaders. Next, we have a dual award. There are a couple of groups. This is Cheryl Graves and Ora Shub from the Community Justice for Youth Initiative. Both formerly professors of law at Northwestern. They are not able to be here, but they have asked Pamela Purdy, who works with them at CJY, to come and accept the award on their behalf. And FDLA salutes Cheryl Graves and Ora Shub for being champions for the restorative justice movement and leaders in advocating for youth. So the next we have Darius Lightfoot, who's the co-founder of the Fearless Leading by the Youth. As an organizer of the youth, that organization that Darius co-founded trains young people on how to implement their visions for change. Among other things, Darius has advocated for the development of a trauma center on the south side and for alternatives to juvenile incarceration. FDLA salutes Darius for his work as a first offender in the community. Next is Harold Winston, longtime public defender, assistant Cook County public defender and supervisor in the post-conviction unit. Among other victories, he served as lead counsel in the Alton Logan case, and FDLA salutes Harold Wilson for a career spent fighting on behalf of the hopeless and for never giving up on clients. Next is Rochelle Conyers, professor of law at the Mandel Legal Clinic at the University of Chicago. Rochelle was an early volunteer and trainer for FDLA, going back. Dedicated a lot of years as a Cook County public defender, and we salute her, FDLA does, for her work on the defense of youth charged as adults and committed advocacy on behalf of all young people charged with crimes. Next is Harold Saffold, a 25-year veteran of the Chicago Police Department, founder of the Afro-American Patrolmen's League, a national black police association. He was a founding member of the board of directors of FDLA, and as a police officer, he organized his colleagues to confront and stop police brutality. FDLA salutes Harold Saffold for bravely being a first offender in the ranks of the CPD.
Howard Sappho. Howard couldn't be here tonight. He's under the weather, but he appreciates this award. He's been doing it for over 30-some years. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Jamie Calvin, journalist, human rights activist, and plaintiff in this Calvin versus the City of Chicago. Jamie was the plaintiff, as I said, in the lawsuit against the CPD to have internal investigative files and police misconduct cases made public. And FDLA salutes you, Jamie, for all that you do to advance police accountability and transparency. Next one is Joey Mogul, partner at the People's Law Office. Joey has spent close to 2 decades working with torture survivors and their family members. Joey's also been a leader in advocating in the courts on behalf of transgender persons. Joey Mogul, FDLA salutes you for your advocacy against discrimination and injustice. Next is Jorge Roach, specialist in street intervention, working at the New Life Center in Little Village. 2 decades of work as a gang outreach worker, violence interrupter, and youth mentor. FDLA salutes you for your work with youth and breaking the cycle of poverty, violence, and incarceration. Next, we have a group of legislators: Senator Kwame Raoul, Senator Jacqueline Collins, Senator Patricia Van Pelt, and Representative Scott Drury, all eyewitness identification reformers. All are distinguished legislators in their own right, deserving of awards and accolades, but here they're all tied together for their work in passing the eyewitness identification law reform, which requires, among other things, the audio and videotaping of lineups. FDLA salutes these distinguished legislators for their dedication to criminal justice reform and efforts in preventing wrongful convictions. Next, we have Governor Pat Quinn. Everybody knows the governor, always a staunch advocate for the underprivileged, a champion for a more just criminal justice system. Recently, clearing the clemency backlog that was left by his predecessor, issuing the ban-the-box administrative order. Governor and FDLA salutes you for a lifetime of public service and for all the efforts you have to make Illinois and our broader society more just. The next honoree is Miguel Rodriguez, an artist, educator, and restorative justice leader. Stands up for police accountability and channels his artistic energy for the benefit of the neighborhood and the city. FDLA salutes Miguel Rodriguez for serving as a role model for at-risk youth and for using art as a way to keep young people in the criminal justice system. Next is Martin Castro, President and CEO of Castro Synergies, and also appointed by President Obama to be the chair of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights. Longtime civil rights advocate. Mr. Castro, FDLA salutes you for your leadership and hard work in fighting discrimination in all of its forms. Our next honoree is Slađana Vukovic, an attorney, longtime FDLA volunteer. She was the victim of an assault on all first offenders when, while working as an FDLA attorney, was charged with 2 felony counts of bringing contraband into a penal institution for having the audacity to allow one of her clients to call their family from her cell phone. She took the case bravely to trial and won. FDLA salutes Slađana for her courage in the face of adversity and for standing up for the rights of all. Next is Sonia Antelek, Chief Administrative Law Judge and Bureau Chief of the Administrative Hearings for the Illinois Department of Healthcare and Family Services. Formerly an Assistant State's Attorney, and as an ASA, she had the courage to stand up and do the right thing in refusing to prosecute a group of teens in a high-profile matter due to a flawed identification process. Because of it, she was demoted, she lost her job, she was suspended, but she kept doing the right thing. So we salute you for having the courage to do the right thing and the just thing in the face of tremendous pressure and at the price of great self-sacrifice. Next is Stan Willis, criminal defense attorney and human rights leader. Stan is an early supporter of FDLA, a longtime leader in police accountability and in civil and human rights. Among other breakthroughs in his career, he advanced the theory of framing the misconduct of John Burge using international human rights standards. FDLA salutes Stan Willis for a legendary career spent standing up to discrimination and injustice in all its forms. Next is Terry Truax, the managing partner of Jenner & Block. Not only is Terry the managing partner of a firm with one of the most storied pro bono practices in the nation, but he also works in the trenches. You'll see him at 26 in California trying cases. I think that it was 35. Terry has represented more than 35 defendants charged with felonies in the year. So he's not just sitting at the firm, he's getting out there, and he's also being a first offender in the courts. Finally, the last is Tom Breen, legendary criminal defense attorney and DNA evidence pioneer. Tom spent his career fighting in the trenches for individuals accused of crimes. He was the first to use DNA evidence in Illinois to exonerate an innocent man. FDLA salutes Tom Breen for a career dedicated to the preservation of justice and for service to his clients. So if you can join us, and one last final round of applause for all the 20 honorees. Thank you. Stay here for 1 minute. We're going to have a call to action right now, and then afterwards we're going to go straight to that back wall and take a group photo. Okay?
All right, like many of you in this room and others, all of our staff team members have stories and have made sacrifices and accomplishments that we also should lift up. Alma Montes is going to come talk to you about her work and its impact on First Defense and our mission. And I want you to know, before she comes and makes, of course, our call to action, to give all that you can tonight to First Defense, that she is in her 3rd year, actually dedicating 2 years already as a VISTA volunteer for First Defense Legal Aid. If you don't know what VISTA is, it's something like the Peace Corps. It's a domestic project, and she has truly been a full-time volunteer for First Defense. So next time we ask you, can you take one shift on the hotline? Can you pass out some cards? Think Alma, Alma is out there. So could you come forward? I'm really not seeing Alma, but I know she's here. All right, okay. So thank you again, Alma. Thank you, staff team members. And check it out. Alma has a message for you and an ask. And how can you say no to someone who gives 2 years to First Defense?
So I'm on my 3rd year, and happy 20 year of freedom, of justice, of accountability, of equality, of opportunity. These 20 years for First Defense, what do they look like? Well, they sound like and they look like 7,300 days that FDLA has been in the forefront reporting to police stations across our communities of Chicago. And for me, being here, it has been a personal experience that has impacted myself, but of course the community where I grew up in, Little Village, which is South Lawndale. And in my years of service with FDLA, I have encountered numerous of survivors, of urban leaders, of urban street revolutionaries that have taken on this call to empower themselves with this great opportunity and service that First Defense provides for many families, young people who would not have this opportunity to have free legal defense upon arrest. What does this mean for communities that we're working in? It means that we have a fighting chance of not sitting in Cook County Jail for days on end without seeing a judge, without speaking to our attorney, without seeing someone to confide of our terror, of our pain, of our injustice, when we have an unfortunate interaction with a police officer. 20 years of service has been a calling for many civil rights leaders, a calling to many young people, a calling to many mothers who are desperately fighting for legal opportunities for their children, for their husbands and their partners. So I ask you to help us keep going 20 more years. 20 more years in Chicago will mean that our numbers of people having access to attorneys will increase. It means that our jails, at Cook County Jail, our courts might diminish of young black men, of young Mexican young boys facing felony charges because of a racial profile stop, a stop and frisk incident that didn't merit, refused, to cooperate with the police, and now is facing a judge. These are the reality facts that many of young people face in Little Village, in North Lawndale, in Inglewood. And sometimes the only opportunity that we have is that one phone call. We need to expose this number, 1-800-LAW-REP-4, across the city of Chicago. It should be on everybody's speed dial. It should be a number that everybody in Chicago should become familiar with. It should be plastered all over our CTA lines, all over our bus benches. And in order to do that, we need your support. And what does that look like? I would like to encourage every single one of you to reach down into your pocket, because I'm about to stop and frisk every one of you, and have you remember what our number is. So we're going to pass around these yellow envelopes that you see here. Some of our volunteers are going to come around. I would like for you to write out a check, to commit yourself by adding your name to this envelope. Add that account number, the routing number that we need from you to withdraw and commit. No, you don't have to do that. We will not take over your identity. But we would like for you to commit. Maybe it's a Netflix, equivalent to a monthly charge from your account, $7 a month. And if you have a Netflix account, you can afford a monthly contribution for FDLA. So the leaders of our community can continue to do the great work that we're doing, so we can continue to advocate and empower those most affected, which is our communities. So again, here's an envelope. You can also purchase a beautiful t-shirt and support Spread Our Message. So thank you again for being the first defenders that we've so been needing in the city of Chicago. Thank you.
All right. So here come the envelopes. In just a moment, we are going to ask all the honorees to please join us in the back for a group photo. So stay tuned 1 second. And what Alma was mentioning about the monthly withdrawals is very significant, right? When we get a billboard, a bench outside a police station with the number on it, when we get airtime on the radio, when we get a CTA ad, these become monthly bills. So we can do that in proportion to our monthly giving. If you might consider doing that, we will appreciate it so much. And you can sign up just for 12 months. this is what we really need everyone to consider doing tonight. I know several of you may have come because your employer or your friend is a sponsor, because somebody invited you to come and get inspired to start supporting. And so I'm talking to you. Please commit at least to $7 a month for a year, and we will be able to do so much more for so many more. Thank you again to our honorees. If you'll follow me, we'll take pictures back there. Thank you again for everything that you've done.
We're so proud of you and we're so happy to celebrate you.
Governor.
Okay, we're gathered. All right, the tall guy, get back.
Okay, y'all.
All right, what do you want, honey? Looking good?
Not guilty.
Hey, staff team, jump in. Can we take some?
FDLA staff.
I'm gonna join. Come on, Jay.